Okay, we are in a discussion of the AWS solutions architect, and we've been discussing about few topics related to development side in a point of view of solutions architect. And now we did discuss uh, those repositories, modern deployment, how modern deployment is started from traditional deployment. And today, what we're going to talk is we're going to talk another topic in AWS, which related to coding, which is called as code deploy, right? Let's have a look what is code deploy. The code deploy is a core service for reliable application deployment across various compute platforms. Code deploy simplifies and automates code and infrastructure changes with the confidence with the needs, right? So code deploy is basically a simple definition is how do you apply your code into a different compute system? So how do you deploy your readily made available code in a EC2 instance? And then how do you deploy your code into um, Lambda, right? Or how do you deploy your code into on-premises servers through code deploy? And then another thing is how do you deploy your code into cluster cluster models of computers like ECS, Elastic Container Services, and then EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services. That is what we are going to discuss, right? All right. What is AWS Code Deploy? Just going to have an overview. The fully managed deployment service that automates application deployment to various compute platforms. As I said, it can be EC2, can be on-premises servers, can be uh, uh, computer clusters like ECS containers or Kubernetes services, right? Key features. So features of a code deploying. So you can do automatic rollout, rollback, security control and support for multi-deployment strategies, right? So the benefits of the code deployment through code deploy is frequency. You can do increased deployment frequency and you can have a reduced errors or faster time to market of your product. So many things you can achieve with the AWS code deploy, right? All right, so let's have a look at when did the code deploy started as a timeline. So code deploy AWS launched in 2015. The product launched in 2015, and then uh, features added 2017. So Lambda deployment support added, and then on-premises support expanded in 2019, and then enhanced deployment strategies are developed in 2021, and then 2024 it's integrated with advanced monitoring and analytics service so easier. So it's product becoming developed and developed each day. So basically, this is source code prepared and then code deployed to target application verified leave. So major task is deploying code to target. That's the basic understanding of code deploy. Right. So let's do some sort of comparison. Whatever we discussed already, some of them. So as we do always, code build, code deploy, and code pipeline. So code build is the first stage, like compiling code, run test, and produce deployable software package. And then code deploy is deployment automation. So whatever you created the package is going to be deployed into a compute instances, right? And then code pipeline is the full orchestration of this whole process from code build to code deploy, right? So if you're looking into key different in these three ones, the code build is basically the build and testing code. Code deploy is deploying applications into target, and the code pipeline is the orchestration or automation of a full workflow from code build to code deploy from use of repositories, right? And you can see target environment code build is we doing code, so there's no target environment. But code deploy got EC2 on-premises Lambda and containerized services. And then code pipeline is the whole process. There's no targets in there. And then these two code build and code deploy, they can still run as a standalone service as well, right? So typical CI/CD workflow is source code, code build, and then code deploy, and then running and monitoring applications after that, right? Mm. So deployment is strategies comparison. So this code build normally deployed in a different strategies and different speeds and considerations are strategy, rollout speed, risk level, and also which is best for what environment, right? Right. So strategy all at once, instant, right? Rollout speed is instant. So risk level is high. You can have a problem. So there that is good for development and test environment. And then the rolling is the normal gradual. The risk level is medium, so that's good for standard deployment. And then canary is the phase deployment for critical applications. You doing is the each phase to make sure critical application don't have problems interference, right? And then linear applications, the stage speed high volume services. So if you think about the code deploy strategies, these are the strategies that you're going to do according to various factors, affecting in the sort of nature of a workload, right? Code deploy fundamental and target environment. So fundamental is code deploy the code into target platforms, right? And then the target environments are you can have, as I said, the EC2 instances, on-premises instances developed, and then serverless computing, Lambda, and then containerized services like Elastic Container Service and Elastic Kubernetes Services, right? So deployment strategies, if we discuss, so we can do in-place deployment, right? Application is stopped on target instances, new version deployed and service restarted. It is basically good for like testing, not for critical. And then let's see, discussed in my previous videos, blue-green environment is the uh, stage environment. Blue is the live environment. Green is the new version. And we basically you can shift traffic from blue to green. If anything wrong, you can revert back to green to blue. So that is the other one. The last one is going to be computer serverless. So deploying them into Lambda, right? So basically linear and canary deployment type enable gradual traffic because serverless applications with automatic rollback on errors, right? So the strategy selection based on the criticality of the accessible downtime and infrastructure constraint, right? So it's a code deploy workflow and application expect file. Application expect file which is basically used for uh, getting whole configuration. So if I go from top to bottom, so first code repository. So we use repository environment like GitHub, and then a trigger deployment. So you do commit, and then code deploy service is started deploying to target, right? So once they deploy into target, we as a back end, they're starting reading application spec file. So reading specs and define configurations, and then do define deployment hooks and custom script. Then it's basically you decide which target you want to deploy, and then you do these services before installing, like install, validate service, and then you monitor after deployment success, and then you got to route traffic into new version live environment, right? Let's say it's a blue-green environment, so you move in traffic into blue live environment to a green environment, new version, right? So application script files briefly it can be a YAML or JSON file. It has all central configuration document defining what you needed to run this the application, right? So you have, as you said, everything like destination locations, life cycle hook, permission, and environmental variable. Everything is in this script file. Right? And then a deployment hook is executed at this specific life cycle stages. Having integration with testing framework and custom validation logic makes sure everything is right. Okay, so integration points within the AWS ecosystem. So this code deploy integrates with so many other AWS services as normally do. So code pipeline, orchestrate, code deploy, and then Amazon S3 uses as uh, storage, right? And then code formation you can use to deploy them, right? And then monitoring you can use the CloudWatch events, right? So they are that's how normally it's integrated with the other applications in the um, AWS, right? And then you could see reliability and risk reduction features. So it is just comparing if you use code deploy, right? Without code deploying, what is the what sort of a risk, and then the downtime, rollback, and manual errors. So deployment risk you're using a code deploy is lower, and downtime also lower. If you think about the biggest advantage is rollback, so you can do rollback in minutes, right? While if you're rolling back a manual one, is going to be more time, and then less manual errors, right? So automatic rollback, code deployment, deployment progress automatically reverse the last successful version if failure occurs, preventing production incidents. So that's a good feature. Then consistent deployment, right? Then comprehensive monitoring. That's the other thing we need to understand real-time status update, detailed audit log via CrowdTrail, and deployment matrix provide complete visibility into deployment operation, right? That's a good thing. All right. So operational benefits and efficiency may scale. So increase efficiency using code deploy, scalability, and then application versatility. So versatility, application versatility means support deployment in any programming language, like a different environment, right? Java, Python, right? .NET, everything, right? This is the other important thing is deployment monitoring and management tools. So you can monitor and manage your deployment using dashboards, right? You can get the health status, the failure rate, right? CloudWatch events integration, and then audit trail, AWS Cloud Trail log, all API calls and deployment activities. That's good. Troubleshoot errors, right? See that you can set up a alert threshold. You can see alert threshold, rollback, duration, can fail. So a lot of things can be monitored, so you can see this. Remember that console provide live dashboard tracking progress, and then you have CloudWatch events, and then you have uh, CloudTrail logs as well, right? So monitoring with deployment, right? So code deploy as a DevOps concept impact. This gives you a full picture whatever we discussed. Brief explain this one. So here is source control, as we said, version control. So it might be GitHub, right? Or in the code commit in AWS, which is the code repository. That's where you have a source. And then AWS code build. You can use code build to compile, test, package, and artifact the source, right? Once you trigger commit, and then once it's ready to code deploy, it, you have a deployment service with a blue-green environment, rolling deployment strategies, code deploy the build code into a EC2, Lambda, or container services, right? So this is target, and once it's in the target, so you will get log and metrics into CloudWatch, right? And then on these performance insights, we can get a feedback and you do back again, right? Getting feedback back to a source or back to build. And then also third party development tools like Jenkins, Circle CI can be integrated with the code builder in the middle way. So you want to get any support from them, so you can use that as well. Right. So that's a tool integration. So compatible with Jenkins, Circle CI, GitLab CI, and other CI/CD platforms for workflow automation. Right. And then here you can see environment flexibility supports on premises data center, the cloud infrastructure, and hybrid environment. All those things going to be supported, right? And finally, memory and value proportion using code build gives you a reduced risk of deployment, development, and then improved reliability, and then you're going to have an increased efficiency, and then strategic value, right? Code deploys to for modern application lifecycle management, supporting continuous delivery and practice, and enabling organization to complete effectively, right? And then you can use blue-green deployment configuration for your critical applications. Integrate code build, code deploy with your existing pipeline, code pipeline, Jenkins or Circle CI, and then you can establish monitoring threshold aligned with your organization's SLAs, right? So I believe with this topic we're going to finish where we discussed with code deploy, code build, code commit, code pipeline, all the topics. I think We'll see you guys from a new topic. Until then, thank you very much.